Picture, if you will, two normal gentlemen that just want to enlighten you, maybe show you some new things about your mental capacity and those things that encompass it, that make it dark, make it evil maybe, or make it happy. But we're here for you. Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Head. This week's a little special. We're going to be doing a Twilight Zone theme since last Tuesday was Twilight Zone Appreciation Day, or Twilight Zone Day, if you will.
Yeah.
How the hell are you doing, Danny?
I'm doing good, man. I'm in the tail end of school already. So we're almost wrapping up with the school year. I'm ready. Good. Let's party on.
I think you're ready for that fifth dimension whip, dude.
I think I am.
We'll do a little brief history, So
Sure.
the Twilight Zone premiered October 1st, 1959. Is Rod Serling's baby that he brought to the network. And most people think like, oh, it's the creepy show that's in black and white. And that's true. But if you think back, it's stood up through multiple wars, multiple different social events.
Yeah.
70 years worth of pop culture and just advancements, and it's still able to hold up as true as it probably did even 10 years after. I mean, when people were watching it, I'm sure it was like a glimpse into the future, because they're talking about space age things, supernatural things, and although supernatural was kind of already taboo and covered throughout history, space was a new thing, and we weren't even on the moon yet. So this is very, very, topical, scary, unearthed, unknown territories that they're exploring with this show,
No, and something I loved about I love about the Twilight Zone is that they were smart about it when they were they were showing these stories, because a lot of these stories episodes are influenced on classic stories that used to be said like on the radio, or like folk tales and stuff like that. So it's just time. I feel like it carries over so well because their folk tales and their folklores that we've been listening to all of our, well, I wouldn't say all my life, but definitely growing up in those regions, specific regions,
Yeah.
it's just here in the Bay Area, we have our own little the mystery spot in Santa Cruz,
Yeah.
everybody knows,
or the Winchester Mystery House.
exactly. If this, I'm surprised anything about the Winchester Mystery House in the 1950s or 60s about it wasn't considered a landmark yet.
No,
So
yeah.
that would have been cool. They will totally do an episode about fifth dimensions and portals to other places and stuff like that. So yeah, again, when it comes to it's these stories that they're not they're interesting because it doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, because we're into supernatural, we love that kind of stuff. But sure, that's the premise of this, but it's also it's a twist. There's always a twist in all these episodes that I don't think a lot of people are expecting. And I think that's what people really love. They try to figure out what's going to happen in these episodes, and by the end they're like, oh shit, what I was thinking is nothing what the way it took the story.
Yeah. I think it must have been one of those shows almost like an American Horror,
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people that watch it, even though it's really popular. I watch it, I like it, but everyone else I know is oh, it freaks me out, it's scary. I'm I feel like that's what the Twilight Zone was back in 58, or I'm sorry, 59 to 63, I think.
Yeah.
Short stint, but I mean, for a show of its stature and all that it encompasses, it's kind of fascinating. It lasted almost 5 seasons. I'm a little surprised.
Especially at that time, if you think about it, the when it comes to television and in pop media and pop culture, the TV shows that were lasting for long, or who made a long sting on television, were live shows, variety shows, and then I'm thinking what Leave It to Beaver and stuff like
Yeah.
that, like wholesome family, he's moving to the 60s, so still wholesome, very conservative views,
Pretty
very,
pretty happy, positive.
yeah, exactly. And not really like showing like, and that's one thing I feel about like like they talked about a lot of different themes we're gonna cover now, but like they highlighted like people with alcoholism, highlighted people with like divorce,
Yeah.
highlighted all these different characters that maybe prior to that they were kind of taboo and they weren't really talked about. Like when was the prior to like what black and white show can you think of where they have like a drunk?
No,
You
I
know?
mean, not really. I mean, even like I think dark subject matter, maybe like Perry Mason kind of show, but even
Yeah.
then, like I feel like Twilight Zone definitely pushed the envelope for what they showed, or it wasn't
Mhm.
what they showed, it was how they showed you, because it was very Hitchcock. It didn't have to be graphic and violent, but it
Yeah.
was very visually, stimulating and terrifying of the mind, the way the stories would
Yeah.
unfold.
And you definitely had to use your mind to fully understand and think of that. On the side note, though, if we're gonna talk 1950s television, I love Lucy, but
Oh yeah,
that's another episode.
that was a good show. I mean, you got
It's a great one.
Babalu. Um,
Yeah, you got Ricky Ricardo, the ultimate Latin X, if you will. Was he Cuban or something?
I think he was
Cuban
Cuban.
immigrant. Yeah, and he not only did Lucy played his wife, or Lucille
Ball.
play his wife on television. This is his real life wife also.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and she was a she was like comedy, like she was big in the comedy world too.
one of the first female comedians,
Yeah.
if you think about
It's
it.
pretty
So,
so yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, comedy and horror go hand in hand,
oh yeah,
yeah, great show. But dude, I mean the themes they covered too, I mean, before we're going to get into it like pretty much right now, but it's just going over
hmm
just briefly. I mean, I went through and I was kind of looking through and I'm like, okay, they cover like atomic war,
hmm
which was huge, like it was the whole Cold War with the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Russians, the space
yeah,
race. Then you got, like I said, space exploration. That was huge. Like
yeah,
we haven't even been to the moon yet, so I mean, God knows what else is in space. Are aliens here? Or,
hmm
we're still worried about that. That's shit we still talk about.
we still talk
Um,
about that.
Government control. We still talk
Yeah,
about that. And then the last two are very personal. It's like anxiety and mortality, man. I mean, those
yeah,
are something that all these things, like maybe the first three could be debunked in the next 100 years as like being old and whatever. We move past it, but the last two are never going to change. Anxiety
no,
and mortality.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't change those.
no, and like as far as anxiety, also you think about this is 1950s, so we still didn't have a word for like anxiety. I believe we had. I think at the time we were calling it shell shock because of World War One and World War Two,
Yeah.
soldiers coming back and having those, and then post Vietnam we had a different word for it too, and now we use PTSD, but anxiety prior to that, we didn't talk about anxiety.
No, you just suppress it with hard liquor.
Exactly. It was taboo. It was, and still, from a male's perspective, to talk about anxiety, stress, depression, um, any sort of reading disorder or like learning disorder is still like taboo,
Yeah.
because man, we're supposed to, like you said, we're supposed to drink hard liquor and suppress all of that stuff.
Yeah, and one episode we're going to talk about later definitely kind of goes into the psyche of that man that you're talking about. So
Yeah.
it's kind of fun because you see generationally how things have changed. The shows hold up, but the way they're set and the time they're set, it definitely gives you kind of you're like, oh, a little time capsule feel
Yeah.
for his.
Hey, Coop, before we go into the breakdown of episodes that we picked, have you seen, and be honest, have you seen the new reboot one? Because I know they rebooted it like what in 2020, 2019.
I have.
Okay.
Um,
What you think about it?
um, well, obviously, it's never going to be better, and it's not going to replace it because that's just. I mean, that was never in the discussion. I know
Yeah.
Jordan Peele's not a piece of shit. I respect him. I like him. I like see like what he did with Get Out and like Us.
Us, yeah.
He's like he's a visionary, and that's what Rod Serling was. And yeah, sure, he's using a platform that was already put, but I respect him, and I understand he respects the craft, and
Yeah.
and it shows in the new one. It shows. Another cool thing about the new one that I don't know if you're aware of is they're also available in black and white as well. I
Oh,
believe when I looked up on Paramount, they had black and white versions. I don't know if it's still like this. I remember a year ago when I first got that service, they also were available in black and white, which was fun because like the original, it was in black and white.
yeah.
I watched, I think, about 3 episodes of that new one. I really liked it.
Okay.
Fucked with you a little. Did you see the one with the cop and the black mom and the black kid?
I have not seen
Ooh.
any of the new ones.
So my advice to you is check them out.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. Like, yeah, I know his work. I like what he did in Us and Get Out. I love his freaking sketch show. It's freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Key and Peele.
But yeah, he's a fan. And even if you think about it, like Us and Get Out, like it has like that Twilight Zone fifth dimension, like
Oh,
oh
Us,
shit,
Us.
yeah,
I mean, both of them do, but Us is like,
right there,
yeah, like for sure. It would have been one
Yeah.
of those hour-long ones. Like they could have
Oh,
made
yeah.
Get Out a 30-minute one, but like
yeah,
Us was this deep when they do that whole reveal of what the that you're like, holy shit! All right, that's
Yeah.
what the fuck.
we'll save it for another day. But
Yeah.
I even though I enjoyed Us, I would have done different. But I don't want to disrespect the man.
I got what
but-
you're saying. I think I can kind of tell where you would change. It would probably be some of the backstory of the other world. I got you.
No,
No?
I think I would keep it.
You would change something about it. That's the part you're talking about that you would change, right?
I would end it
Yeah.
about 30 minutes before the ending.
I got you.
Yeah.
You because it was a little less scary because they almost explained too much.
Yeah,
I got you.
I would
I got
have
you.
like cut out the last half an hour.
Yeah, if they would have removed the whole explanation of the underground world, I think it would have been maybe a little less. It would have been a little more effective.
Yeah,
But I mean, at the same time, though, it kind of fucked with you in a way as well, because then you thought, what if there really is a fucking other world that these fools live underneath us? And
mm-hmm.
so I think that
They're
was the
like-
point. He wants you to leave with some kind of weird anxiety about like, what the fuck kind of, what if that is real? You know?
Like there's a doppelganger out there of you, and it's like this person, and maybe you're the lucky one, maybe you're the shitty one, and there's somebody out there.
I'm like, let's just hope I'm not the better looking one.
Yeah,
Poor guy.
but that'll be another episode.
Yeah.
Most definitely, that'll be another episode.
Well, why don't we start off with I did some categories here. Let's I did them in 3 categories. So we got moral lessons, classic episodes, which are going to kind of focus on more of the standard things you picture when you think of the show, and then we got our personal picks. You know, so
Okay,
I think
Yeah,
we're gonna do
hell yeah.
we'll do one of each, and then we'll do 2 of the personal picks.
that sounds good. Yeah, hell yeah.
It's an open forum. I'll talk a little, and then we'll just talk.
And whoever's listening to this, if you guys ever want to talk Twilight Zone, dude, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram. We love talking about this. We can do a little Twilight Zone fan club. You know, kind of like a book club.
Yeah.
You know, we'll
the
watch
5th.
an episode.
We'll call it the 5th dimension.
Ooh.
It's probably already taken, but you know what? It'll be the Cinco dimension or something. We'll make it. We'll spice it up.
We'll spice it up a little bit. The Cinco dimension.
It's so stupid. All right, let's just jump right in. So my first moral lesson is it's from season 1, episode 33, entitled "Mr. Beavis," and it is not spelled like Beavis and Butthead. It is Bevis, but the guy is kind of a doof. Mr. J.W. Beavis, he's like a happy-go-lucky dude. It's odd because when you're watching the episode, you're like, okay, this cool. This dude's happy. Like, what's wrong? You know, what's the deal with this episode? But it's weird because you're not really finding anything wrong. All his interactions are really good. Seems like he has a lot of friends. Everyone knows who he is. So it's like, oh, cool. This guy's a good guy. But then it just, everything starts going to shit for him. Like, he loses his job. He gets evicted. So, he finally, his luck turns around, which is weird. Because then, you think, okay, things will go good for him. But then, there's always a catch. But it's funny. So he's happy going through his life, but then all this bad shit's happening to him. But he's still got this weird, odd, like positive aura about him. So then he gets an option to change it up, and his luck goes good for him. His rent's paid in advance. He's got a raise at his work. He's now this big boss dude. But there's little details that are different. Like, before, when he was happy, he was walking to work and he'd see the kids in the street playing and say, hey, and then they'd throw him the football and he'd throw it to them. And it was like a cool, like, everyone knew who he was. There was a street vendor that hooked him up with an orange or something. And then when things are going good for him, he tries to talk to the kids. They don't even notice him. They don't even give a shit. They're like, no. He's like, okay, whatever. He goes up to the vendor. He's like, hey, man, can I get an orange? And he's just like, no, man. Like, I can't afford to give you stuff. Like, I'm not doing well right now. Like, and he didn't even know who he was, kind of thing. So it's like, dang. It's like, he's going good. And of course, just like the universe, everyone else around him is suffering. Or his relationships just aren't good with these people. So he's like, okay, I don't want this anymore. Like, I just want things to go back to normal. Like, he literally says, screw this. I'd rather be unhappy and go back to the way things were. And sure enough, he goes back and everything's back to normal and he's happy as can be. But it's just, it's the moral of this story was this guy was such a strong person on the inside that he didn't care that, yeah, maybe, he wasn't doing the best of his abilities, or he wasn't the happiest. Maybe he wasn't at the highest stature of society, for success. But in his psyche and in his mind, his relationships were healthy. He had a good rapport with his neighbors. Even his landlord, even though he was going to get evicted, he wasn't rude to anybody. He was very nice, and I guess his happiness was that. So, although it wasn't a very scary episode, I enjoyed it just because I respected the man for being so simple and knowing what he wants and just doing it. And it's pretty selfless, which is a very unusual main character role in most of these Twilight Zone episodes, is a selfless main character.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was really good. I enjoyed that one.
Nice.
Did you?
Yeah, dude.
I think you had one about
kind of similar
later in the.
Yeah, this one came out a little bit later in the series. This is from season 5, episode 25. Originally came out in 1964, actually. And this one's called The Mask. And the premise of it is that, they're in New Orleans, it's Mardi Gras, and there's this dying old man. He's a rich man, and he's dying. So his family comes in and is, his daughter's husband, and their 2 kids. The thing is, like, the kids, they don't want to be there because it's Mardi Gras, and they're like, oh, we'd rather go out and party,
Right.
whatever. And, the older gentleman, main character's name is Jason Foster in this. Mr. Foster's like, it's like, dude, this is my last night. Like, can you guys just hang out? And they're all just like super. By the way, each person, has like their own horrible trait.
Right.
Like, for example, Emily, the daughter, thinks like she's, over exaggerates that she's ill. So any little thing is like a big deal. Like when she's sick. Her husband, Wilfred, is a businessman. So he's like all greedy, and like everything is always like an opportunity to make a profit out of it.
Yeah.
The daughter, Paula, is super vain, narcissist, whatever. And then the grandson, Wilfred Jr., is pretty much like a bully and just like a really sick person. Like, I think the grandpa accuses him of like killing a kitty or something when he or eating
Jeez.
the shit out of a like he's a
Like a
sadist.
sociopath. Yeah.
Yeah, and loves causing pain and suffering and
Oh yeah,
stuff.
like a
So
sadist. Yeah.
yeah. So they want to leave, and the old man's like, "You listen, let's do this. Let's do this tradition, this all Cajun tradition. Mardi Gras, you're supposed to wear a mask of people who represent, other than you."
Mm-hmm.
So he convinces them at first to want, and they're like, "Listen, the only way you're gonna get my money," he's like, "I'm gonna die tonight. The only way you can get my money, my fortune, because that's what the only reason you guys are here is if you guys wear this until midnight." And so because of that, they start greeting. But these masks are like hideous masks.
Yeah.
And he tells them, "Oh, it represents like the opposite of what you are." Well, after like 2 or 3 hours, just getting all like, they just I don't know, they just don't want to be there anymore. They want to take off their mask, and they're like, "F this, we're taking off our mask."
Yeah.
And to their surprise, is once they reveal their mask, once they take off their mask, that face of the mask turned into their own face.
Oh shit.
So show who they really are. So like for example, like the the daughter who's like or I'm sorry, like the son who's like a bully and stuff,
Yeah.
they kind of made his face to look like a buffoon, like a monkey and stuff.
Yeah.
So once he takes off his mask, like that's his face, like this like very brute force kind of looking person.
Yeah.
And and they're all like freaking out because of the mask. And as the old man is dying, um his last words are, "Without your mask, you are caricatures."
Oh,
I'm not sure if I'm,
caricature. Jesus.
you go-
Caricature.
yeah,
Caricature. I can't do it. Caricatures. Caricatures. We're
meaning a
both bad.
picture, description, or imitation of a person in which certain striking characteristics are exaggerated in order to create a comic or effect. So there you go. Their worst trait is now put on their faces. So they essentially they become who they really were in the inside.
Right.
And the old man dies, and so I feel I put this under morality because like even though a person may look gorgeous and good looking the outside,
Yeah.
is on the inside they might be this hideous person. In this case, they're portrayed by pretty much like a psychopath, a greedy person, a person who's very self-centered, and then a very vain person. So I saw that a couple days ago, and I'm like, dude, like I don't know. Again, I come from like a family that's like super knitted within our family. So like, if my dad is sick, like my whole
Yeah.
family's going to be there,
Yeah.
and we want to be there, not because we're being forced or because we want to make like a profit outfit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a family. It's a family thing.
Yeah, it's family first. So that's for my morality one. I'm pretty sure there's like 100 other examples of it, but that was the one that always like resonated. Because that term is still brought up as far as like, oh, beauties don't judge a book by its cover, true beauty is in the inside.
It's kind of a karma thing.
It really is.
Like really those people, they thought they were gonna come up, and that's usually what happens in the Twilight Zone is these people, if they usually get their way, finally get dealt that hand of karma.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And it's funny how it gets delivered. But it's
I
overall
also like that.
Huh?
No, I was gonna say I also like the fact that the old man, he's wearing his mask is like it's a skull, it's a skeleton. So it's very like
because he's dead.
It's very because he's gonna die. And he's like, oh, it represents because I'm still alive. So the opposite is this.
Yeah.
Is the skeleton. And essentially he does die after, so it does come true. But it's super cool mask.
Made your Misfits bone tingle.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Another one that's classic, obviously, is most people may not remember the name of this one, which is season 2, episode 6, Eye of the Beholder. It is one of the most iconic picture ones. If you Google Twilight Zone and you see the pig people, this is that episode.
Yeah.
this constantly is being used as like a cover photo for Twilight Zone or like their marathons or any kind of poster kind of promoting it. It's one of the real popular ones. But anyway, this woman who's constantly she's been disfigured her whole life, has gone through 10 surgeries, these transformational type surgeries that seem like the government provides you 11. And basically, I guess the situation is there's people in the world that are disfigured. They have to live in a colony because they look different. There's this procedure this woman was lucky enough to get, which was she gets 11 chances to have reconstructive surgery to look different, to assimilate into society. And throughout the whole episode, you don't see her face. So you're just constantly like, which is genius writing. Because it's not revealing anything. So you're constantly, you're putting images in your head. This woman's ugly, she's crying. She's saying when she was younger, it kind of broke my heart a little bit. She's all, I never really wanted to be pretty. I just didn't want to make people cry when they looked at me. And I was just like, God damn, that's fucking deep.
That's deep.
Like, it's like, that's some fucked up shit. Like there's people in this world that really deal with stuff like that, and, I mean, just, it's when you hear it out loud, it just fucks with you. And dude, even this is 1959 or 1960. Yeah. So not only that, but this is also a huge, it's kind of in a way you feel sorry for this woman because, imagery and appearance is very, very crucial for the female gender. Whether women want to, I mean, most women probably would agree, but even if you want to say I'm wrong, it's like, then leave the house looking like shit. None of you really want to do that. And it's because there's a weird expectation with females that even females enforce. That's not even males enforcing anymore. Or it's just an expectation for yourself that us men don't always share. But that's also why it was kind of hard. You feel sorry for this woman. Image is, appearance is such an important part of a woman's life, especially back then, since they weren't really, a working force. They weren't really allowed in the working force. So, I guess as shallow as I might sound right now, her looks probably were, I mean, you just feel like, damn, like women didn't have a lot of options back then. So like that's one less option for this woman. And you're like, Jesus. But she's on her 11th surgery. And there's all this, she's talking to the doctor. The nurses, you can hear their back and forth saying like, man, if I had a face like that, I'd kill myself. So you're just like all this, you're just like, God, how ugly is this woman? And her bandages are coming off, and it's cool how they film it because the bandages are wrapped around the camera. So while they're unwrapping it and talking, it's like you're her, which is very POV, which is super fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because POV was not like, even Hitchcock didn't do POV.
Yeah.
I mean, POV, I mean, this was pretty revolutionary.
They didn't start doing that. I'm thinking like TV shows and movies, maybe like mid-70s, maybe 80.
The first horror movie to even do POV is arguably Halloween, and that was 70s. So easily a decade later. I'm sure John Carpenter took influence from the Twilight Zone.
Absolutely.
But like I said, that POV shot, no one was doing that shit. So little things like that you notice that are just amazing. So they're taking her bandages off, and it's just like super immersive. It's like, this is great. And then the nurses scream because they're bitches. There's no reason to do that. You don't have to scream at this poor woman. She's been through hell. Yeah. So they scream like they didn't know what she was going to look like. And then the doctor goes, no change. And then you're like, damn. So you feel bad. But then they reveal what she looks like. And she runs over to the mirror. She's this bombshell, blonde, beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, shit, what the fuck? Like, what? So you're just like, your mind's totally fucked. You're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then they reveal what these people look like, and they're hideous. They look like they're wearing masks. They got these weird cleft, fucked up mouths, and they got big pig snouts and really dark eye rings around their eyes. I mean, they effectively look like pig people. And so everyone is a pig person except her. And it's just the whole world is flipped upside down. She has to go live with the other normal human beings. But it's so funny because in society, we are the pretty people and we look down on other people or other, life forms maybe. But like it was cool to experience a humbling situation where the human beings that are sought after are looked at as the Adonises or examples of what life should be. We're in this situation being chastised and looked at like, lepers. So it was a really interesting take.
Yeah. And I mean, it really comes down to, well, just like the title, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
You know, beauty and what pleasure is all objective,
Yeah.
you know. Um and sometimes like people will undergo so much just to try and fit in. You know, they would even like I was talking to this person I know on Twitter. She's a ex sex worker, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, wow.
um
That's cool.
yeah, so she's a really smart person, really cool person. But you know, she's going to college and just to pay bills, whatever.
Right.
So she was talking about how she doesn't even know like what her real voice is anymore.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking weird to like to even think about, like, because over time she has changed her voice to sound more girly, sound more appealing and stuff like that. So it's,
God, yeah.
so it's all these things like, it's all objective and it's all like, trying to lead or do whatever everybody's kind of like going with the flow. So that's a I really like that episode a lot. Do you
Yeah.
remember? And as you were talking about and we were discussing it, it reminded me of another episode. I'm not going to go into it super deep, but very similar. It's called The Number 12 Looks Like You. And there's also a pretty cool grindcore band name.
Thought that
The number,
sounded familiar.
yeah. But very similar thing where like it has to do with like body image and like plastic surgery and stuff. And again, late 50s, early 60s, like super cool.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Because
super
in the
cool.
90s, there was a show Nip Tuck.
Yeah.
That was huge. And
And
that was all about plastic surgery.
yeah, and even like early 90s, like with the definition of beauty, it was all fake. We think
Oh,
Pamela Anderson, with all these people who went like through plastic surgery things, and now it's kind of like return to normalcy, kind of,
yeah.
hopefully. I might be speaking on my ass because I'm not a female,
It
so
kind of
I don't
is.
know.
I know implants have gotten better, but
Hmm.
it's a return to natural. I think it is a return to natural beauty in a way, which is good.
And full disclosure, I know Coop didn't bring it up, but I can speak on behalf of Coop on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you just the way you are. No need to change your appearance. If you want to lose weight, do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't do it for anybody else.
No.
We love you just the way you are.
And just think twice before you get all that shit done in your face. Go Google
Yeah.
how this stuff looks on people 20 years from now, or just Google how they look now.
Yeah.
Just do a little thinking. Sleep on it a little.
Just less is more, except when it comes to tattoos.
Exactly. You want to get inked and zapped up, you just do it.
You do it. Don't listen to me.
Want to do it on your upper lip? Go for it.
Yeah.
You
Why
want to get a
not?
Hitler mustache? Go for it.
Maybe not.
Well,
Maybe,
I'm not saying I'd go out and eat with you, but do your thing.
whatever brings you joy. Just be ready for the
No,
consequences.
he's gonna sit over there. No, yeah, we're over there.
Yeah, we don't know that
No,
person.
little Hitler, we don't hang out with that guy.
No, we don't know that guy.
Little Hitler.
No, but my episode for the classic one, and it's a pretty classic one. It's called Fear at 20,000 feet.
Yeah.
Um,
Hell yeah.
this is a freaking awesome episode, and like it's super simple, and this is one thing I love about the Twilight Zone. Also, like they're all super simple, and it goes back to like less is more.
Yeah. Always.
So on this episode, the main character just suffered a nervous breakdown, and he
Mhm.
was like in a sanitarium for 6 months.
Oh shit.
He's finally getting it together, if you will. So he just had a nervous breakdown. He's back in society. And he's on the plane. And he's kind of freaking out. He's a little bit afraid of like flights already. Understandably, also in the 1960s is a very common fear.
Yeah.
So the person is kind of freaking out a little bit, and then he has a window seat, so he looks outside the window and he's happens to be right on the um on the wing, and he sees like this monster type of man out there in the wind on the wing. I'm sorry. And he's like freaking out. He's like, dude, is no one else seeing this fucking creature out there? And like the dude's like fucking with the engine a little bit in the wing, and like he keeps on calling for help, and no one's no one else sees it, and he's like, am I losing my fucking mind here? And he's like, no, maybe it's just my mind playing tricks on me. Keeps on seeing it. It gets to the point where like he gets the gun and he's like ready to blast the window to like kill
Yeah, the
this
monster.
creature. Yeah, this monster who's like essentially trying to um
Crash the plane, right?
yeah, exactly. So um he's doing that. He straps himself in and then he opens the emergency door to shoot the this monster
Yeah.
thing. The plane, and it ends where like the plane lands and they're taking him away with a straight jacket, like that he lost his mind.
Right.
But then as it ends in the typical Twilight Zone twist, they pan back to the plane, and on the wing you can see that there was some damage there being done on the wing.
Hmm.
So it makes you think, is this man really was crazy? Or maybe he was seeing things, but like he saved all these people's life by like landing
Right.
that plane before like it got all
Like,
fucked up.
well, that's yeah, like you said, was it a literal omen or was it just an omen that he thought was real, but he was still helping those people, right?
Exactly.
Either way, it's
Exactly.
like
And I
mental
think this is,
illness.
and again, this one deals with like anxiety, stress, post traumatic stress disorder.
Hmm.
Because I've been in that situation, dude, and I think I'm not sure if I shared it in this show before, but like I was taking during winter break when I was in college at San Jose State. We were taking like a 3 or 4 week course, whatever. It was like California history,
Yeah.
and there was several mornings. Here in the Bay Area, like once we get hit with like an earthquake, we'll get like earthquakes like back to back every night, like
No
every
little like
day.
aftershocks. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like, oh, like on the same day. No, it'll be like we had like a somewhat big one, like a 3 point whatever today, and then tomorrow we'll have another one, and then it kind of like in the span of a week we'll have like 3 or 4 earthquakes.
Yeah.
Um, it was one of those situations, and we had an earthquake the day before, and we were, typical California thing. The first thing whenever we feel like there's an earthquake, rather than like ducking and cover like we should, we look up at the lights because that will tell us if it really is an earthquake.
I
So we
mean,
look
that's
in the
true.
ceilings.
You got to check
Yeah,
because I mean, it's like, yeah, you could duck and cover, but you also got to, I mean, you got to see what the hell's going on and know where to duck and cover as well because, you know,
exactly.
and dude,
No,
let's all face it. Even though we've lived here our whole lives, we've been alive for Loma Prieta, no matter how small we were. I was only a year.
yeah,
Uh, Earthquakes are one of those things where, unlike tornadoes, unlike floods, unlike all this shit, there's no horn, there's no warning, there's nothing. There's no weatherman, even if he's half
no,
right. So they just happen. So there's no warning. So you're still kind of feeling like, am I too? Because this happens to everybody.
yeah. Am I
Is it
tripping?
me? Yeah, am I high?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I smoke weed. So it's like
Mm,
at night, like, am I moving or is that moving? And,
yeah.
it takes a minute. It takes probably all of about 2 seconds for you to figure out what it is. But it does take about a second or two of
To
either looking
figure
at
it
a
out.
light or just realizing, no, the bed's shaking. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, So it's everybody. I don't,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, dude, that's so funny. I remember side note on the earthquakes. This is fucking hilarious. We were in LA, we're coming back from Mexico, and we stayed the night over at my aunt's house in LA.
Uh-huh.
I shit you not. I shit you not. That very same night on our way back, there was the MLK earthquake of LA. It's like 1992 or 93 or something
Yeah.
like that. Maybe 94. But I believe it's called like the Northridge earthquake.
Uh-huh.
You know, part of like the fucking 101 also fell like on somebody, or like part of the 5 fell on the
Dang.
freeway. So, and this happened hella early in the morning. So I'm waking up. I remember waking up to the rumble. If anybody who's ever been involved in a big earthquake, you know what I'm talking about. There's the sound or just the rumble, and then you feel like the shaking.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the rumble woke me up, and then the shaking. And we can practice all your life, duck and cover and all this shit. Once you realize, oh shit, there's an earthquake going on, I panic. So what I do, I hugged my little brother Juan, who was sleeping right next to me. I hugged them because I was panicking. And I think he hugged my dad. And my dad's like, at this time, my little sister's like maybe 1. And my dad's like, get the fuck off me, get my and I remember like me, like all of my cousins were all kind of like freaking out. And then like I remember my aunt going like, don't you motherfuckers like practice this at school?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Because all my cousins did not know what to do. Like we all panicked. And they're like, I thought you guys practice this at school. Don't you guys practice this? And we were yeah, I just remember like, yeah, what like you can duck and cover you want. Once is like go time of an actual earthquake, all that shit gets thrown out the window.
Yeah, I mean, because, yeah, you practice it, but, dude, it's not even a seasonal thing. Like,
Yeah,
hurricanes,
it can,
tornadoes, all that shit happens every year. Like,
yeah,
earthquakes. And, yeah, sure, it sounds like we're, like, blessed, which we are. But,
yeah,
I mean, when this shit hits, that's why it's so destructive, is because there's no warning, there's no prep.
yeah. It's
So,
just you just hopefully all the things that you did to prevent or to help you in the case of emergency, hopefully kicks in. But the reason I was telling that story is because that happened several times when I was taking this college course, and this is like in the last 10 years. I remember one day, same thing. Like I felt like the ground was shaking.
mhm.
And very similar to like the episode, I was like, I was looking around and I'm like, is no one fucking feeling this right now? Like, am I the only one who's like, are you fucking serious? And then like I'll calm down and then I'll feel shaking again. And now same thing. And essentially, like, I remember like getting up, like jumping off my chair and screaming, like, is no one else fucking feeling
Yeah.
this earthquake? And my professor kind of like, everybody just looked at me and I'm like, I need to go get some water. and my friend's was like, yeah, you do that. And then like I came back like 10 minutes later. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I was freaking out. I thought it was an earthquake.
Was
But
it?
like it's
You might have not been wrong, because they're small
I,
ones.
I might not, but I just remember it's like the first floor. And this is for Steph. Over at Dudley Moorhead.
Dudley Moorhead?
Yeah, that was the building or the college. It's like the shittiest fucking building at San Jose State, which they finally finally upgraded it, 5 years after I graduated, but whatever.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it was the shittiest fucking college or building at San Jose State.
Right.
I'm like, how much am I paying? And
Yeah.
how come science department gets a cool new building and math gets a new cool building, but humanities gets this one from like 1890 with no AC? I'm like, okay.
Well, what's more human than that, dude?
What's more degrading
Living
for
shit.
humans than that? Yeah.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah, there
okay,
you
well,
go.
you know what? Once your humanitarian department starts paying the bills,
Yeah.
that's pretty much what they're saying, though. It's kind of shitty, yeah.
Oh, you all want to be teachers and you want us to fix your building? Yeah. Now get used to being underpaid and under horrible conditions.
I mean, it's not too late to change your major. They're all like,
That's true. That's true. It's never too late. But
yeah, because
no,
they want your
like
money.
I definitely been there before where like you kind of look around and you're like, am I the only one fucking freaking out? Am I the only one seeing this right now? And then it becomes like, who's really crazy? Like the person screaming stuff, or like trying to save you or prevent you from doing stuff, or like the ones who don't believe them.
I think the people that are ignoring it are crazy. And I
Yeah.
think those people, I think they definitely exist, because they're the people that want to blend in and don't want to stand out. I think we all have that fear voice in ourselves. Like, oh, don't say anything. But like, there's people that literally are that. So
Yeah.
I think they're more crazy, because like the guy on the plane, although he appeared crazy, he was trying to help people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we could all agree it's better to be the villain and save lives than to try and be the hero and not give a shit if people die. Like, it's just not as, you know what I mean? You got to have that moral.
And here's the thing that's also looking at it through a 2021 perspective of it.
Yeah.
The only reason this man didn't believe him is because he was legit coming out from a sanitarium after like being, having a nervous breakdown. So his mental health was already in question. So it was like the boy who cried wolf kind of thing. Like, oh, they don't believe him because he's like all this stuff. So it's that stigma of like, oh, why should we believe this guy if he's always like panicking or, going back
there's not even a 3-strike rule for crazy people.
Exactly.
Once you're crazy, you're crazy.
You're crazy, and the thing is uncurable or something. And it's just like, it reminds me of Girl Interrupted when they all sneak out and they go to that party, and when the writer's character goes like, he's talking to somebody's like, oh yeah, I've been in a place like that. Oh, my cousin was been in a place like that. He used to hear voices, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So and they finally released them because he told him he stopped listening to his voices, and she goes, oh, so he got cured, and the guy goes, no, he still hears them, but he just learned not to say anything about them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, that's hella deep.
Well,
like,
it's he's telling them what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So but he's smart enough to know what he needs to do to keep his freedom, or at least part of his freedom.
Exactly. So, and it goes back to, the whole premise of this podcast. It's not like you can't just put a Band-Aid over and expect things to heal. Like, you have to go through a process to heal because, putting Band-Aid over it is not going to work.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we tried doing for so many years.
You got to dig up that body 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
Dude, it's not fun. It's grim. It's hard. It's brutal, but it's the only way to really fix that is to just deal with it firsthand, which will never be easy and isn't easy. So, 100%, I think. But I feel like, once again, like going through all this stuff, you even said, it's super relatable. We've all been the crazy person. We've all been the person that people don't listen to. So all these stories really fucking, they speak to you. They're very personal and very complex for its time. We're going to keep saying this, but like you said, even I Love Lucy, we love I Love Lucy. It's great, the comic writing. But as far as the capacity of the show, it pretty much takes place in an apartment or a workplace. It's pretty limited. It's mostly their everyday lives, and it's not meant, I'm not comparing I Love Lucy to the Twilight Zone, but what I'm trying to say is this is very deep and thought-provoking subject matter for the time. I don't feel like people were so much into this. It seems like TV was more of an entertainment aspect, and even though this is masked by horror, this is very much psychological, like textbook psychological stuff. Like, it's just put in like nursery tales or like folk tales, so it's entertaining. But at the end of the day, it's like, I guess you could almost look at it like scripture. It's. I'm not saying it's a church, but it's church of the mind. It's people opening up their mind based on stories of other people proving like morals right or wrong. That sounds awful lot like the Bible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's moral lessons.
And I think that at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of this show got kind of like not taken so serious because it did fell under that sci-fi mentality or the horror mentality and stuff.
Right.
And I think that's where like a lot of people like, oh, well, you're, oh, you like that. Oh, you must be a little psycho or something, or, like that kind of, I don't know where I'm going with that one.
But what I think to elaborate on what you're going on is I think Rod Serling knew that. And I think the only way he knew he can get away with putting out this message and this show was by dressing it up that way.
And you know what, dude? Because you and I, we love sci-fi and horror stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends who are listening to this, they love horror and sci-fi. And I think one cool thing about horror movies and sci-fi is that it goes into the occult it gives you a different perspective of things, which we will talk about different perspectives in a bit with the next category. Um, but also like a you get to look into the psychological things that are kind of taboo, and it's kind of like dress under like this horror thing. So it's like,
Right.
oh, we don't take it so serious. It's just a scary movie. It's just a horror movie. But once you start looking, like, no, there's more. There's more into depth than that.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Like we can talk about, fucking. I'm pretty sure there's millions of books about the psychology of like Michael Myers. Like, of course, we know him from Halloween, but
Oh, like
that's still such a fucking complex character
I
of
definitely think.
what.
Well, that's what I mean. I feel like it's also a complex character. It's also a well established series. So there's a crazy fan base, which has
Yeah,
probably made some kind of fan fiction profile for him relating to what they know from the movies, which is I love nerdy shit like that.
yeah,
But 100%, dude. And that's the fun thing is maybe we should look into this like for future episodes. Like, what can we take that we like and turn it into a learning lesson or subject matter for
yeah,
that day? And it's funny watching the show. I'm like, we could have literally made a podcast focusing on each episode and literally use the episode as a theme,
mm-hmm.
and I might steal that idea. There might be
Hey,
a few
why not?
episodes where we take an episode title, and we twist it and make it, apply it to what we're doing.
Yeah,
Because I mean, most of this shit is very relatable.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. And if again, if you break it down piece by piece and you see like what the message is and what they're talking about, like it's super relatable to like mental health and mental wellness and just like reflection of what our society prioritizes. Looking back to like what's it called? The Eye of the Beholder, the number 12 looks like you,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff is like all these like social stigmas and like social roles or norms that are
Yeah,
expected
norms.
for me to look like. And even though like those episodes focus mostly on the female perspective, like dude, there's still such a huge social norms and social like expectations for males and how the male figure should look like
Yeah.
and what they should be doing. And I think that's like and that's like something that needs to be talked about more. Like I, God knows how many times like the idea of like having some sort of relationship with a new person, new partner is like for personally for me it's so stressful.
Right.
Because it's like, well, I'm supposed to be a man, I'm supposed to know how to do this and do this and that, but like I'm like, dude, like what if I don't meet those expectations? And that's like again, it's super taboo. And again, it goes back to like, yeah, we like to talk every time we think about like body issues and all this stuff. Like we mostly focus on like the female perspective, but there's definitely there for the male perspective also.
Yeah.
And it's something that needs to be brought up also, or like at least us as the male of the species, we should also acknowledge that we also go through this, and a lot of our brothers out there go through it as well.
Oh, dude, 100%. I mean, growing up too, I was never like the buff kid. So I was either the kid that was like skinny, chubby, or, just dorky. So it was like, yeah, for sure. I totally relate to that. Like, I wasn't like a physical specimen in high school either. I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
just skinny the last 2 years. So then you're hot. Yeah, because you're skinny. Whatever. Fuck you. But like, I wasn't like buff. I wasn't like mature. I was like just right on track for pretty much my age. So it's not
Yeah.
hot. But like, yeah. So no, I totally get it. 100%. And dude, women and girls are just as judgy to guys as they are with each other. Maybe they're not so
Absolutely.
upfront, but you'll hear them. They'll snicker. They'll say
Yeah.
something. Kids are mean. But no, dude, I totally relate to that. Like that's kind of the driving force that's made me complacent about exercise sometimes because I'm like, I don't care what people think. But then I'm like, yeah, but I care what I think. And I'm like,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel good to feel a certain way or look a certain way, then you should change, And
Yeah.
I think that's what should be the catalyst for change, like you were saying, your own view.
Do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't do it for anybody else. I think that's the main thing. And you know what? God, I cannot praise you enough for if you did make that change for yourself and you're proud of your changes. Like that's fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
So you mentioned men and the male, like not necessarily bravado, but let's just say the image and how we can be viewed and judged, right? Based on how things
Right.
were. That reminds me of an episode from season 3, episode 27, called "Person or Persons Unknown."
Ooh, which was that one?
This one's interesting. It's a guy, David Gurney. His name's David Gurney, and it's interesting. So it's funny. He wakes up in the morning, and man, God, this is when you know the show's in the 50s. So he's complaining. He's like, my shoes are still on. My clothes are still on. You didn't take my clothes off and my shoes off. And I was like, and I kind of had to pause it for a second. I'm like, is this dude serious? Like, dude, holy shit. So you got fucked up. The wife got fucked up at a party, but it's still her job to take your shoes off and put you into bed.
Oh God.
And then he was like, oh, and dude, it was great. Cause then he was like, oh yeah, well, you got to stay in bed all night. You got to stay in bed all day. Well, I got to go work. And I was just like, dude, like, if this is how men were back in the day, I don't know how there wasn't more women killing them, but I was just, it was funny. So, but it wasn't just that it was a norm in the show. He was meant to be an asshole. So
Yeah.
he starts out like really, like this guy doesn't give a shit about his relationship at all. So he's like, hey, wake up. I don't know where something is for my job. I'm running late. She starts screaming. She's like, who are you? Why are you doing in my house? And he's like, okay, all right, look. I know it was a weird night last night, but like, stop with the bullshit. Like, he didn't say bullshit, but he's all, cut it out. Like, I got to go to work. I'm running late. So, why are you here? I don't know who you are. And then he's all, okay, great. You want to play games? And like, this is how good the acting is on the show because it still holds up. You're like, this is totally what I'd be doing. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, are you kidding me? So then he goes into the drawer and he's like trying to show her his clothes and all of his shit's not in there. It's all his wife's clothes or this woman's clothes that he thinks is his wife.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, what the fuck? So then she's like, I'm going to call the cops. He's like, you know what? You figure out this shit here. I'm going to go to work. And when I come back, this needs to all be sorted out because he thinks she's just out of her mind. Right. And he goes into work and same thing. No one knows who the fuck he is. Someone else is at his desk.
Shit.
He goes up to the guy at his desk and he's like, yo, dude, you're in my spot. And he's like, no. And then the security comes up and he's like, is there a problem? And he's like, yeah, this dude's in my spot. And he's like, all right, sir, why don't you just come outside? Like, they're totally like, you're going. So they pull him outside. Yeah. He doesn't go willfully. But then the cops are there. Oh, no, he goes back home. And the cops are there ready to take him because she already called the cops. And he tells the cops, joke's on you guys. Then why would I have my ID? Of course, his ID and credit card and cash is gone out of his wallet.
Yeah.
So they take him to the loony bin because they're like, all right, well, sir, you clearly don't know who you are and you're not this person. And this person you say is your wife isn't, and she has legal documentation showing us that none of that's true.
Yeah.
So it's just this whole crazy thing of then they show him the guy next to him. He's like, well, this person, to give you perspective, thinks he's Winston Churchill. Like, he's not Winston Churchill, but he thinks he is. And we can't prove who he is, but we know he's not Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
So then a funny turn of events happens. It makes me laugh because then he goes, I need to get out of here and prove to you guys that you're wrong, which is totally true. But what makes me laugh is he turns and he jumps out the window and the glass breaks and he just starts running. And I'm like, dude, I just want someone to actually try that in real life because I know it wouldn't work. But like, he breaks through the glass, he gets a car, he drives away, right? And he's like, he needs to figure out a way to prove that he's real or he's not
crazy.
David Gurney.
And he's doing crazy shit while trying to prove that he's not crazy.
He's not in the phone book. It's just fucked up. It just keeps happening and changing. And then he's just like, he finally figures out what he needs to do. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go. I forgot what it was. It's like a public record that has photos for some reason. I'm terrible. I should know what this is called. But you got to pay like $1.50, and then the lady's like, here's your picture. And I think, you know what it was? It was a wedding certificate, because I think when you get married, you have to, I guess for the sake of the episode, there was a picture for the wedding documentation.
Okay.
So he pulls the picture out, and it's him and his wife from earlier. And he's like, fuck yeah, I got it. Like, obviously he didn't say that, but he's like, yeah, I got it. And then sure enough, when he opens the door, the lady's like, you owe me $1.81. And then he's like, yeah. And then I'm like, why didn't you just pay her? But then at the door is the main guy from the psych ward and like 4 cops. So obviously they're going to take him in. He's all, yeah, well, I know what you guys think. I got proof. And then the doctor's all, yeah, we're sure you do. And he's like, yeah, but I bet you think I just have a signature or something like that I could have forged right now. But how about photographic evidence that I know that woman? And then he's like, sure. Like he totally is like, whatever. So he pulls the picture out, and it's just him, dude. Like earlier it showed him posing with the wife, but the fucked up thing is it's just him, like, but in the same pose. So it's like, even if you're an asshole, it clearly looks like no one would be posing like this by themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, you guys are kind of fucking with this guy. So they take him in. He gets strapped in. He wakes up and he's back in his bed again. And his wife's like, oh my God. He's like, oh, I love you. I'm sorry. And she's like, it's okay. God, are you okay? You sound different, because he's being super nice and apologetic and understanding.
Yeah.
And then she turns, takes her night mask off and wipes her face. And she's a completely different woman. Like, it's his wife. It's the same name, everything. She loves him. She knows who he is. But now he doesn't recognize her.
Oh,
so the ending of the episode, she's like, why are you looking like this? And then Rod Serling ends with, like, he has a loss of orientation with his identity, and now everyone else is. So is he going crazy, or is the world changing around him? And then it's just like, this is just another part of the Twilight Zone. And it's just like, wow, mind is blown. But I had some questions, because I didn't finish the episode, and I wrote notes because I have questions on this. This is ridiculous. So the annoying fact checker guy in me was like, bullshit. Because, like, not once did he tell them, like, here's the thing that bothered me about that episode. But the Twilight Zone explains it because it's the Twilight Zone. Yeah. But I'm like, is he crazy when he knows all these people's phone numbers, which, by the way, are their names? He's like, this is my mom, so-and-so, and she lives at this address. It's all true. The only thing that's not true is him saying he knows them. But I'm like, but from an authority standpoint, how would he have all this information on these people? How would he have all their personal information? How would he know all these things about them? And I mean, being a stalker doesn't make enough sense. So they write off so much detail that he knows, and it's confusing to me. I'm like, why doesn't he say that? Like, how would I know all this shit?
Well, it's funny because when I'm watching 28,000 Feet, Fear in 20,000 Feet, same thing. I'm like, if that was me and I'm seeing this person destroy my airplane,
I'll be like, what the fuck is that thing?
No, first thing I'm like, how is that thing even alive? Like, I'm going, 800 miles per hour right now? Like, no way in hell that person's just moving freely, on the wing.
But I mean,
no way.
Yeah.
And like, no way in hell, like, and we're 20,000 feet? The temperature up there is fucking freezing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and how you sustaining yourself that high, sir?
Yeah.
Like the pressure and everything, like it's not, or ma'am, whatever creature. So I'm watching this, I'm like, dude, I'll be freaking out. But at the same time, I'll be like, my mind will start doing like, no, there's got to be a logical explanation. And this is why, I'm tripping right now, because who the hell will be up here in the wing? How the hell, like the plane is tilting. How is this person not slipping and sliding all over the place? I don't know.
You know what would have been a great ending to that episode? It's like a 3-minute episode. He just sees the guy fucking with the wing, and then he just goes like this. He's just like just goes back to sleep.
Yeah. It's like, not my problem.
All right. Well, hopefully we land safe. They got it covered. They got a crew here.
Oh, this is how I go down.
No,
but no, that's a really cool episode though, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was a mind fuck. And that's the thing about it, dude, is we all kind of had struggle. I mean, I definitely struggle with identity constantly. I'm like, who am I? What am I doing? And what am I going to do? And that's identity. I struggle with that all the time. Like, what is my identity? What defines me? You know, and if you lose all that, that's terrifying.
Bro, I mean that reminds me of one of my episodes. I personal favorite ones that I love to watch because it's such a fucking mindfuck. Also, this is season 1, episode 34,
Ooh,
and it's called The After Hours.
nice.
1960 came out in 1960, and the premise is that this person, this girl, she wants to she goes and she buys something for her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going she goes to like the woman's department or whatever, but rather than taking her to like the last floor, she's taken to the 9th floor, and there isn't a 9th floor. But she goes in there, she buys like, I don't know, she buys something. So she goes back and she tries to like get the refund or something. Something didn't happen. So she's trying to go for the refund. She's like, "Oh, well, I have no receipt. I paid cash." And they're like, "Well, where did you get it?" And they're like, "On the 9th floor." And they're like, "Well, there is no 9th floor." Blah, blah, blah. You know, and so it's kind of like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the
Should
fuck?
got your receipt.
Yeah. And then she's like, "Well, do you remember who helped you?" And she's like, and she sees the woman who helped her, but it was a mannequin the whole time. And she kind of like freaks out and she passes out in the department store. And they kind of just leave her there overnight. Like she's just kind of like, they thought that she left or something. So she wakes up.
Okay.
Yeah, so she wakes up and like it's after hours of like some Macy's or something.
Right.
And she finally there's somebody there, and he's like, "Hey, can you get me out?" Like, "Oh yeah, let me take you to the 9th floor. You have to go to the 9th floor, and everything will be answered." So she goes up. Turns out the 9th floor is where they kept all the mannequins. And now the mannequins came alive, and they're like, "Oh, finally you're here. You're late." Like now somebody else's turn to like. So the whole premise is like, a mannequin can go out like once every 2 weeks, but only one at a time to be a real person. So the girl who kept on going to the 9th floor was actually like a mannequin the whole time.
Oh,
And
shit.
that's why she felt like she had to go back to the 9th floor, because it was her turn to go back to being a mannequin and somebody else to be.
Oh, dang. See? And that's
Yeah.
so deep. And it's like unraveling at the end.
Exactly. And again, from different perspectives, because when I saw that, I'm like, bruh, that's like a fucking Toy Story type of shit.
Yeah.
But like, it's such like a child's play kind of thing. Also, like these things that we think are just objects, like what if they do have souls? What if they do feel like they live this whole secret life and we don't see them, and we're over here like I don't know, it's the fucking Terminator person. I mean, like, am I really gonna freaking punch the toaster because it's like it's not heating? Like, I don't want that fucking toaster to come back and fucking kill me in my sleep. I want to be cool with the machines,
Right.
So,
It don't matter. They want to
so
kill you.
that's fine. As long as they do it quickly. But yeah, like that's always been. I always love that episode. I think it's one of the first episodes I saw from the Twilight Zone also. But
And that's a
such
scary
freaking, like,
one.
yeah.
Just everyone's kind of a little spooked by mannequins, right? We can all kind of agree. They're a little weird looking.
And it's very similar to when you're talking about, because like, okay, how's this person like has all this information? How does she knows who she got it? And then it's just like the mindfuck is like, oh, there's the lady who helped me, and it's a fucking mannequin. And they're like, what? Like, no way. And she's like,
how did she
like,
forget
am I
she
really
was a
going
mannequin,
crazy?
though, is my question.
She went to the 9th floor, and then all the mannequins were like alive after hours.
No, I know, but she
That's when the
was one. So how did she forget she was one, though?
Because I guess the more time you spend on the outside world,
like you forget.
You forget. So then that brings up the other perspective. How many ex-mannequins do we know out here in the world?
And how long was she hogging her turn?
I think they can only go out for, I want to say like 2 weeks or maybe like a month.
Oh, okay.
And then like they
Still,
have to
she
go
was
out.
Probably, could you imagine if you're next in line and she's over like by 2 weeks?
Yeah,
I'd be
and
pretty
like,
pissed off. I'd be like,
you're
all right,
killing.
I want to break your arm
I'll
off.
be like, I'd be like, yo, you need to hurry the F up, dude. You're killing me right now with my time.
You're gonna be one of those fucking Venus de Milos when I'm done with you. Smack
Like,
your arms off.
I am going to destroy you.
Yeah.
But now, dude, such a freaking great.
Do you want to work
episode.
in toddlers? Is that what the section you want to be in? Yeah.
Is that what you want to do? Huh? Huh?
It's like the kindergartners on recess.
Is that what you want? But yeah, such a freaking great episode. And I think I'm seeing here, they remade it also, in 1986.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's one of those classic episodes also.
Something.
Hey, and you know what?
Uh,
It's the episode right after Mr. Beavis.
oh, right on. Okay. Yeah.
Look at that.
Well,
No,
Mr.
no, no.
Beeve.
Yeah, and the only reason I know is because I'm looking. Oh yeah, only 30 days. There you go. Okay, she can only be
the max.
a mannequin can only be human for 30 days, and they have to go back.
Yeah, dude, that's a trip.
Awesome. Yeah,
Dude, that's I mean, that's a good one. I got another one that was it was interesting. It was season 3, episode 19. It's called The Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's I forgot the old man's name, but we'll just say he's an old timer, lives on kind of like a farm. He's got a dog, goes coon hunting, you know, and that's not racist. They hunt raccoons, I guess. I'm like, I guess you can eat a raccoon. I mean, you know, it's good eating, I guess, when you got, I don't know. But he's old. It's not like he can go hunt a deer. How the hell is he going to bring that thing back? So I get it. Maybe that's why. I don't know. They're kind of like, they're simple farm people. So his wife's like begging him, like, no, don't go. And it seemed kind of late, too. It was kind of like in an evening. Like, I don't know why he would go either, but he ends up, his dog's hunting. His dog jumps in the water, and it's like water, just, he sees a few air bubbles, but he's all, oh, the damn raccoon's trapping Rip, because that's the name of the dog, Rip. And he's like, oh, shit. So he jumps in, and then they both, you just see bubbles coming up, so you're like, okay, they fucking died. And then, but they're both back on land. The old man looks like someone pulled him out of the water, and he's resting on a log, and then the dog's just sitting next to him like, wake up. So they go roaming around, and obviously he figures out eventually they're both dead. It's kind of a Christmas Carol type thing where, you know, you see everything happening in front of you, but you can't talk to anybody. So that's very scary because you're kind of putting yourself in that position, and that's terrifying, right? Not knowing you're a ghost or not knowing you're passing on when you're passing on.
Yeah.
But he goes for a walk. He's like, okay, well, you know, we gotta do something. Like, let's go. Like, what the hell are they gonna do? They can't, you know. So they leave, him and the dog, and they're walking. And he's like, who put this gate here? You know, this is weird. Well, there shouldn't be a fence here. So they start walking, and finally it leads to this guy in a booth and by a gate. And he says, oh, okay. He's all, how you doing? And he's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Good to see you, sir. We've been waiting for you. Why don't you come on in? And then he's like, all right, cool. And then the dog, he tries to bring the dog. He's, oh, no. No dogs allowed, though. You can't bring the dog in. And he's like, really? He's like, why on earth, why wouldn't I be able to bring my dog in? And he's like, well, just the rules. You know, they got their own place down the way, but they can't go in here. You can, and they can't. They got their own place for their kind. So then he's like, okay, but ain't gonna be able to do much coon hunting without my dog. And then he's just like, oh, you can't do that. And he's like, huh? He's like, yeah, that's not allowed where you're going. He's like, okay. So he's like, so I can't bring my homie, and I can't do what I love doing. So I'm just going to like pass on this whole thing. I'm just going to keep walking. And the guy's like, no. And he's kind of stern. It's kind of creepy. He like grabs his arm. He's all, no, well, why don't you just come inside, check it out first, leave the dog here. And if you decide you want to come back and you don't like it, you can just take off. He's like, you know what? It's okay. A life without Rip ain't a life worth living kind of thing. And he's just like a really cool old man who loves his dog.
Yeah.
And it was weird. So then he's like, well, enjoy your walk. That is the eternal path of nothingness, and you're just going to be on it forever. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, thanks. He's like, basically like, thanks, go fuck yourself. So he just keeps walking, and then finally this other mysterious individual comes up to them. He says, "Are you so and so?" And Rip, and he's like, "Yes, we are." And he's all, "Well, I'm the angel here, and I'm gonna welcome you guys to heaven. Both of you
Oh
can come
shit.
into heaven." And he's like, "What? But I already talked to that guy." And he's like, what the hell are you talking about?" He's like, "I already talked to the guy at the gate." And he's all, "No, no, no, no. See, that wasn't heaven. That's hell. And they will try and trick you, even at the end of your life, to go there if you're not paying attention."
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was like a last test.
Yeah.
So the guy even said, he's all, "And the reason the dog can't go in there is because they smell brimstone." So he warned you. The dog was warning you. And luckily the old man was smart enough to listen to his dog. Because if
Mm-hmm.
he would have went in, and even that shady thing with, because I thought something was off when the guy was pushy about him not going in. I'm like, if this is heaven, I'd be like, all right, cool. Don't want to go to heaven? Go fuck yourself then. Go wander
Yeah.
around in nothing. Good luck. We'll see
Yeah.
you later.
Go in limbo
Like,
then or something.
why would you be so like pushy and like kind of desperate, right? So I was like, something seems off. And sure enough, that fool was not necessarily the devil, but that was hell. And that's why he even said, he's like, "Why don't you just go in and see how it is first?" He wasn't going to be able to come back out.
Yeah.
And it was just like, damn, dude. So then he gets into heaven. They both go. And then he even says, he's like, "How's the coon hunting?" And then the guy's like, "Oh, great. We're going for one later tonight." And I'm like, dude, this is hilarious. But then he asks about his wife. He's like, "Oh, is she going to go?" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry," because she was really religious. He's like, "Don't worry. She's got a streamline right here." And I'm like, damn, dude, if that wasn't some like religious, like fear mongering, like,
Yeah.
make sure you believe in God, because if you don't, you might get
Look what
tricked at
happened.
the end.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I'm like, fuck, dude. So the moral of the story is intuition.
Yeah.
Follow your gut, man. And,
Yeah.
because your first option, although it might look like the best option, isn't always the best option, dude. And jumping the
Yeah.
gun, you would have been screwed, literally damned. And, there would have been nothing you could do about it.
Fuck, dude.
What a trip, though, right? What a mind fuck.
It's such a great episodes, dude. And like, fuck. All right. I wanted to for my last one, I want to talk about this. I'll just say the names of the episodes, and whoever's listening, I think they will enjoy.
Right.
I wanted to talk about one's called Five Characters in Search of an Exit, and it's basically like five random people like in this place, and they don't know how they even got there or anything, but they're trying to escape.
Uh-huh.
And so that one's really, really cool.
Which
It's also one of the classic ones.
do you know? I think because I actually flagged that one, so I definitely will watch that one, because they're all kind of stranded and they have to figure out like why they're there, how to get out, kind of thing, right?
Exactly. And this is a nice little Christmas one too. Anyways,
those are always good.
And the other one I wanted to talk, and we kind of were talking about this, was the night call. Where it's this like older lady, she keeps on getting like telephone calls, and she's not really like hearing anything. And then like she makes a complaint. It turns out like that telephone wire like ends in the cemetery.
Oh my god, that's creepy.
Dude, it's such a fucking great episode. And that's one of the season 5, and that one's called The Night Call. But the one I want to talk to, because it kind of goes with the hunt, is called A Nice Place to Visit. And this is season 1, episode 28. The premise is there's this person named Rocky, who Mr. Valentine, if you will. And he's a robber, I believe. At the end of the day, I believe he ends up like trying to rob like a store. And then as he tries to escape, he gets shot by the police. So when he wakes up, he finds himself unarmed, but he meets this person named Mr. Pip. And was like, "Oh, he says, "Okay, you know what? You died, whatever, but now this is now your new place."
Right.
And he's like, "But it's cool, whatever you want, you can have it here, anything you want." So of course, um, again, he tried, again, he's like, "All right, well, I want like a new suit." And he's like, "Oh, go look at the closet." And he has a new suit. He wants, what to drink. He wants to keep on, has a lovely wife. Everything he wants is there.
Right.
And he goes and he plays casino. He keeps on winning. and he keeps on saying like, all right, Mr. Um he can have as much money as he wants, whatever. And then after a while, he gets kind of like bored of doing the same thing over and over. So he keeps on asking this guardian angel like more things, like, okay, well, I want this, I want this, I want this. So after a while, he basically just he gets bored, and he asks that guardian angel, Mr. Pip, like, oh, is there other places I can go? I'm tired of like, being here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I'm tired of like doing the same things over and over. And he's like, why, I want to go steal, I want to go do the bad things I used to do. He's like, but it's not that fun here because it's just so easy.
Right. Makes sense.
So he tells him to take him to another place. And he's he goes, he's like, oh, can I go? Let me go somewhere. Let me go somewhere else. I don't think I can stay in heaven any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And Pip goes, the fuck you're talking about? Heaven? Like, what makes you think you were in heaven? Well, this is the other place.
Oh shit.
This is your new paradise. This is
Yeah.
what you always wanted. Now you have to live with this, like, this dream life that you wanted for the rest of your life.
Right.
So it reminds me, you've seen SpongeBob before,
Yeah.
right? Remember that episode where Squidward goes to like Squid Town or something like that, and like at first he thinks it's like heaven because everybody's like very like similar to what he does,
Right.
and then after like a month or 2 months he hates it and he wants to go back, and he misses SpongeBob and Patrick, and so it's very similar to that, where like at first it was everything he ever wanted, everything.
Right.
He had the girls, he had the money, he always kept on winning. On the casino, he'll go and rob, money, and he'll still end up, getting everything he wanted. But at the end, he's like, dude, this is horrible. Like, I'm tired of heaven. It's not working out. And the guy's like, dude, what the fuck makes you think you're in heaven this whole time? You're actually in the other place. Like, you're in hell.
Shh.
And this is where you're gonna spend now for the rest of your eternity. So, be careful what you wish for.
Cue Lacuna Coil, Heaven's a Lie. Just kidding.
Yup.
Do you remember that song?
Yep. Oh, of course.
Dude,
Great
I was
metal song.
showing Steph that, and
Mhm.
she was like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, well, I was in, that chick was hot. Well, she still is hot, but
Yeah, she is.
no, I was like, hey, that was a big deal for us metalheads back in high school because there weren't a lot of hot chick singers.
There wasn't. So this is all like, oh shit, this is actually pretty dope. Like,
yeah.
they're all freaking hot. Yeah.
But not to retract from the heaviness that is the twist that is, hey, this is what you wanted and this is what you have forever and ever and ever.
On the side note, though, just on the side note, I remember the magazine Revolver.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the Women of Metal or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, was it only like once a year they did that, or it was like a one-time only thing they did it?
Maybe they did it a couple times, but I think I remember the distinct time because I remember the lead singer of Light the City was also in there.
Yes. Okay, that's exactly where I was gonna go to.
Okay, perfect.
Because for those who don't know, Light the City is, I got excited out of nowhere. It's this awesome metalcore band from Oakland, San Francisco area. And the singer, oh God, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Laura. I can't remember her last name, but yeah, she was named like one of the hottest girls in metal, and she's very pretty. But later, once like the city kind of took a break, the drummer for that band and Laura started a pop punk band called Heart Sounds. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, called Heart Sounds. And at first I didn't realize, like, I came across it completely random. I came across that band completely random. And then like I looked them up and it turned out like the following week they were playing in San Francisco and they were playing in Oakland with this band called with Alkaline Trio.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, well,
That's
shit, might
huge.
as well go. And it wasn't until like I started looking them up. I'm like, oh shit, that is the singer. Oh, Laura Nichols, that's her name.
Laura Nichols. Okay.
Yeah. That's when I realized, oh shit, that's the lady from like the city. And every time I remember, because they always used to play like around the Bay Area, and I
Yeah.
always used to see her show like we became like, I wouldn't say friends, but acquaintance. Like, hey,
Right.
what's up, dude? Like they recognize me for
Well,
going to the
she's
shows.
really personable because when I first met them, well, I should say her, when I first
Yeah,
saw them, it was at the cave, of course. And I was there
yeah,
with
yeah.
Michael. And God, I remember some random bands. I remember the bands that were there, and I don't even know if they're bands anymore. But this other band, Invocation of Nehek, was there. God,
Jesus.
I know some weird shit, dude.
Yeah.
So anyway, Light the City, dude. But she, I remember in the article was really cool because I think people were always comparing her to Angela. I think her name is Gassau from Arch Enemy.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm probably butchering her last name. But it was funny because in the article, she's like, it's cool they compare me to her, but I feel like they compare me to her because she's a woman. If anything, I associate myself more with Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. And I was
Oh,
just like,
nice.
oh my God, dude. My high
You
school dick got so hard when she said that.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god,
I
I
was
know
like,
who
oh my
she
God.
is.
She,
She
who are
knows
you,
who
you
he.
enchantress?
Yeah.
But like, dude, not only was she like breaking the taboo of a woman that's into metal that knows her shit and isn't just like trying to be the hot girl. Because
Yeah.
that was just the thing. Like, oh yeah, are you really like, dude? I was the guy that was like, are you a girl? Are you a poser? I was that guy. I
Yeah,
didn't.
you're like, you're questioning
I didn't
it.
care if you were hot and had a short skirt. I'm like, do you like this music?
Yeah.
I was that guy that would literally blow chances probably with meeting a girl just because I wanted to meet a real one. Like I didn't want to meet some poser chick, some scene chick.
Yeah. No, dude, and to be honest, like she wasn't even like I remember seeing her with like the city and she was just like jeans and a t-shirt
Oh
type
yeah,
of
it was
girl.
just a normal. I mean, I bought a shirt off of them and I was like, "Oh, thanks. You guys are awesome." And I remember it says the front of it said I love thrash and the back said
Mm-hmm.
I light the city, and God, that thing I wore that
Yeah.
so much in high school. There's nowhere to be. I wish I still had it cuz they're not even a band
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh, they came back,
Oh,
dude.
they did?
Yeah, they
Oh,
came back.
okay.
I want to say they released like an album like maybe a year or two ago.
Oh, well, dude, I'll fucking
But
tag them on this too. I'll be like,
but
"Yo,
but if you really want to check them out, the other again, I knew like the city,
heart
but I really got into him more with Heart Sounds.
heart sounds." Well,
Um,
yeah, I'm gonna look them both up though. I'm
and the drummer Ben, he went up, amazing fucking musician, playing guitar and singing. Laura plays guitar and she does the backup vocals, and they're all clean vocals, you know.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, so super cool. And then like that dude Ben, he has like I forgot what his record label's called. But he has pretty cool sounds. Still does everything like do it yourself. Um, I remember I posted once like a video of Heart Sounds,
Uh-huh.
and my friend apparently worked with all of them, and like they all work like Whole Foods in Berkeley or in Oakland and shit. So she's like, yeah, she sends me like a message like, dude, how you know these people? Like I work with half of the people in this music video. I'm like, oh, they play in this band called Hearts. So she's like, oh shit, that's pretty cool.
Dude, that's
Um,
that's so awesome.
yeah, but yeah, dude, check them out. I don't even know why we brought up Heart Sounds right now. Or
Well, because I don't know, we started talking about something, and then I it immediately made me flash back to Light the City, and then that literally was where you were going, apparently,
yeah, that's where I was going
which
too.
is weird.
I don't know. I don't know why I was gonna bring up the Ladies of Revolver.
Oh,
I
probably because of the sexiness factor, or is that just me in my head putting that together?
I think it was just your head too. We'll
Probably.
go back. This is how we work.
It was Revolver. You said, "Do you remember that episode? You remember Revolver magazine?" And then I said, "Yeah, they did a Ladies of Metal thing." And then I brought up
Yeah.
Light the City. But what were you gonna?
I don't know. I think because
Lacuna Coil. We were talking about Lacuna Coil.
yeah, I think just like very similar to like with Laura, like they always, oh, she's a girl, she must like, or we're gonna compare it to other girls. Like I'm pretty sure in her life she was compared to like fucking Gwen Stefani,
Blondie.
or
Yeah.
yeah, or like early 2000s. So I'm thinking like the Donnas,
Or like
all this like
maybe the four non-blondes. You got Debbie Harry. Or
yeah.
no, Debbie Harry's Blondie. What's her name?
What was that band? There's this band also with like a girl singer.
Oh, Hole. Are you talking about Courtney Love?
Well, definitely Hole, but
Oh,
that wasn't the one I was
Garbage.
thinking.
Shirley Manson.
Oh, but yeah, I'm only happy when it rains.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a fucking badass band. A fucking badass. And also cranberries. Might as well throw them up in
Cranberries.
there.
There you
Also.
go. I like cranberries
No,
better.
I was thinking of
Oh,
the distillers. There you go.
who?
Distillers. The
Distillers?
distillers. Yeah, I think it's distillers, but is the dude from oh god, we always talk about this band like every other day. I feel like a fucking poser. I can't remember. Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh, Josh
Josh.
Homme?
Yeah, it's his wife who used to be married to the singer of
Oh,
Rancid.
no shit.
Yeah,
Wait,
drama.
Armstrong?
Yeah, Tim Armstrong.
Dang, he's Eskimo Brothers with Tim Armstrong?
Yeah. On a side note,
Wow.
Tim Armstrong. He also did this mini series on online.
Uh-huh.
It's like kind of like a musical, but he did like a 7-piece musical where very similar. Lars comes out in it, and Lars like same thing. Kind of, it can easily be like a Twilight Zone thing. Like he goes to hell.
Right.
And then there it is. It's called the Time Bomb. Of course, Tim Time Bomb series.
Time
And
bomb.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he goes to hell, and there he meets the devil, and the devil is my man crush, Davey Havoc.
Oh, nice.
Of course it has to be him. But yeah, it's like a musical, and they can easily be like a Twilight Zone episode, or like that episode I was just talking about. With the A Nice Place to Visit. I don't know why I brought up Laura though.
Well, I kind of you brought up Revolver, Ladies of Metal. I brought up Laura, so maybe you weren't even going to talk about it, but then we both had common ground.
Yeah,
I fucked you up.
Yeah, we just get excited when we talk about metal music and shit.
Well, I also get excited when I feel like I'm completing you, which I'm not always. I'm just I'm like,
No,
did I complete you, Daddy?
Thanks, bro. No, dude, I hella forgot where I was going with that one. Anyways, with all this, maybe don't tag them, because I don't know what the fuck we're gonna talk about.
No, well, but yeah.
But definitely check out Heart Sounds if you're into pop punk.
Yeah. And Light the City's a good heavy band, local.
And also there's definitely a little shred in there with Heart Sounds.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. I like punk when it's got like a kind of a shreddy.
Oh, super shreddy.
Rock solo kind of lead thing going on every once in a while.
Dude, super shreddy.
Another sidebar. They're not a band anymore, but do you remember Ken Susie's side band called USA, USA, USA?
I do not have your back on that one, unfortunately.
You need to go on YouTube, look up USA, 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 and there's a song called Melissa. I think you'll like it. It is so weird and like punky and poppy. It just like how you go from Light the City to Heart Sounds, it is nothing like Unearth.
Really?
Nothing. But besides the shreddy ass solo. But it's just like, it's amazing because it's Ken Susie's little band with his buddies. And it's kind of a post-hardcore pop punk kind of feel. But I'd say more pop almost than punk.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'd be right up your alley. You might dig it. But yeah, they're called
USA,
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 USA.
Okay.
Hey, Melissa, I really want to kiss you. Dude, the lyrics are so stupid, but it is so funny because it's like Ken Susie. I don't know, dude. That guy cracks me the fuck up, but I think you'll dig it. They have a music video for that one, and it's pretty good. Anyway, that's enough down memory lane, but maybe we'll just end with a little mana lag from Mr. Rod Serling himself, I think, just to pay some respect for Twilight Zone Day.
I think you might as well.
All right. Here we go, guys. I'm going to do it in my creepy Rod Serling voice, all right?
Do you need a cigarette, though, when you say it?
Fuck.
No, not no more.
No, I'll just use it. I'll just go like this.
I'll just use a pen.
There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition. And it lies between the pit of men's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone. And with those words, television changed forever. And also, guys, that's it. That's what we're leaving you with. So, go check out some Twilight Zones and look into the meanings of the things you like. It's really important. There's deep messages and all this stuff. And let's learn from this stuff and be entertained. So, by all means, thanks for checking in with us. Thanks for listening. Please check out Twilight Zone. Please check out Heart Sounds. If you want to check out Light This City, please do so as well.
You probably should check out Light This
I think
City.
you should. Don't just take our word for it. Don't just take these old coots' word for it. We're here. We're here to educate, but we're here to entertain. And hopefully that's what we did today.
If you're into metal and metalcore, you will love it.
Yeah. So Light This City and then Heart Sounds.
For sure.
All right,
and
guys.
USA.
And USA. I don't even think they're a band anymore. Check them out. They're funny. There's a song called Melissa. But once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week with another installment of Tales from the Head. But until then, we bid you adieu. Farewell.